Hi, my name is Adi and today I'll demonstrate Knowledge K12. Knowledge K12 is an online school management system. It can be accessed from anywhere and from any device. All you need is a Chrome-like browser as well as an internet connection. What I'll show you today is a cut-down version of the full system. Many of the features are hidden away but are available if needed. At the end of the video, I will list you all the other features as well. So let's move on. After putting the domain name out here and loading the page, I can log in. Each user has a separate login. So in a school, if there are, let's say, 5 users, each 5 users will have a different login for themselves. Once logged in, the landing page is of the dashboard itself. So I'll move on to the Arc Online dashboard, which has been customized for Arc itself. Now, when we are talking about dashboards, dashboard is a central place where we can analyze what's happening in the school, right from the demographic information of the school or of the students, or demographic information about the teachers, as well as the marks attainment, library systems, attendance, and all the other things which are happening in the school can be monitored directly from the dashboard. Each dashboard can be customized for a particular user. So every user might have a different view of the actual system. So when we are looking at this dashboard, let me get to the details of it. On the left hand corner, you can see that there is a gender ratio. Now what this is saying is in the school there are 20.5% females as well as 79.5% of males. Out of the total strength of the school, 654 are males as well as 169 are females. Now moving on, the next dashboard shows us the strength per class. So as we can see that the lowest strength is 33 students per class and the highest strength being 36. So it's a well-balanced school. As well as we can see that in class 6th A, the count is 36. Moving on then, this is the class-wise gender ratio. So we can see that in class 6th C, the number of males are 34. And the number of females is just 1. On the other hand, this is a well-balanced class where in the class 8A, number of males are 19 as opposed to number of female are 14. So which is pretty well balanced that way. This is a graph of employee gender ratio. So once again, we can see that 41% of employees are females as well as 58% are male. This is the distribution of employees by department in the school. So we can see in the academic department there are 60 teachers. In the ICT department, which is the next, there are 7 teachers. In student affairs there are 5. Similarly, moving on, out here we can see this is the attendance dashboard. We can see that there is a 94.07% attendance in the entire session of 2014. And the amount of leaves which have happened, out of them, 65.4% are sick leaves, as well as 17.1% are absentees, as well as medical leaves that are 17.3%, which are medical leaves. Coming down here, this is the graph of session-wise marks. So we can see that the average marks for the entire school is 59.34%. Once we click on this, obviously there is just one session at the moment, but if there are multiple sessions, you'll be able to see multiple bars out here. But once we click on that bar, we can see of that session class-wise marks. So in class 10A, class 10, we can see that the average is the highest, which is 60.8%, and class 9 is actually the lowest, which is 57.2%. Obviously, these graphs are completely customizable, so a person can actually view the graph in a different manner. So they can drag and drop the graph the way they want. They can resize the graphs, as well as they can change the view of the graphs. So if I want to actually view this graph as a table, I can do it as a table, or let's say if I want to just view it as a donut, I can just view it as a donut, and the entire look and feel of the graph changes. Once we've done any changes like these, we can just save them and the next time you log in, this is the view of the graph that you'd see. Let's move on. Let's move on to the program structure. Now this is the most central form and the most important form of the entire setup process. A school can be organized in classes, and the classes might have sections. So out here what we can see is, let me collapse all the things. Out here we can see that we've created a batch called as 2014. Under 2014 there are 12 classes. There are classes from 5th all the way to 12th. In each of these classes there are 3 sections. We can obviously increase or decrease the sections right from here. So let's say there is a possibility that in class 12th there are 4 sections instead of 3. We can obviously manage it from here. Let's see, we want to delete a section, we can directly delete a section out here. It will only let you delete a section though if there are no activities which have already happened under that section. If you want to increase a section, or let's say from next year on, if you want to introduce a class 4th in the school as well, what we have to do is first create the next batch. So for 2014 we can clone the entire node. It will clone the entire thing and we can just rename it to 2015 and save that. Now we've got a brand new year, and in that year if we say that we have another class called as class 4th, we can directly just clone this node, class 5th node, and add it accordingly. So let's say we want to clone it here. Once cloned, it will actually clone that node, and we can directly just name it 4th and save that. For the next year, now we can see in 2014 the classes were starting just from 5th, but in 2015, as we can see, the classes are now starting from 4th. Now 4th is actually outside, so we have to drag and drop it into 2014, and now under 2015 we can see the class 4th. So each school can have a different structure. They might have sciences and commerce sections which are different, or they might have small to let's say segregations of classes. They can just manage it from here. But generally speaking, in Indian schools, this is the way things are managed, that there are classes, under a batch there are classes, and under the classes there are sections. And everything happens for a section. So a student is assigned directly to the section and not to a class. Once we've actually set it up, I'll just delete 2015 because it's of no use to us at the moment. But once we've set it up and once we've created the classes, we can then move on and we can go to mapping of courses. Now mapping of courses means that in 2014, in class 5th of A, these are the subjects that are taught. So we can dynamically map for each and every section, we can dynamically map subjects. We can also call that subject to be elective from here. So we can check this box as elective, and we can assign an employee to this course. Obviously there is just one employee for this course at the moment, but going forward, if we want, as a customization, we can have multiple employees for the same course. If there is a backup employee, let's say for art, we can assign a separate employee out here. To assign a system is very, very easy. All we have to do is check it here. Let's say we want to mark this as elective as well. We have to check it here. And then from the drop-down list, we can just select a teacher. And that teacher is then assigned to art of class 5th, section A. Similarly, in let's say class 5th, section B, there are different courses to be taught. We can just assign them directly from here. Once assigned, for auditing purposes as well as for approvals, what we can do is we can always export it to Excel sheet and get it approved somewhere else. Once a course is mapped, the way it works is a subject or a course is assigned to a section or a class for that matter. Once assigned to a section, all the students belonging to that section or a class have to study that course. Having said that, if a subject is an elective subject, then a student has to opt for that elective subject. So let's say in a class which we are looking at out here, let me just collapse this menu once again. We can see that in class 5th A, English is not an elective subject, which means that all the students of class 5th A have a compulsory subject to study English. Having said that, art is an elective subject, so a student will not be assigned to arts till the time they elect for it. That makes the job a bit easier, because if we go down electing each and every subject, it becomes a very cumbersome process for the students. But if we don't do that, we can directly just assign a student directly to the class, and once assigned to that class, all the subjects are automatically assigned to that student, and all the exams which are also there for this particular art course for this class are also assigned to that student. Let's move on. Once we've assigned and we've mapped the courses, by the way, this course thing, so this is the master record of all the courses that are there. So obviously we can increase or decrease the amount of subjects or courses that are taught. Let's move on. Now let's go to students. To create a student, we first have to go to personal details of a student. This form is quite important. So let's say a student comes in and he's not enrolled yet. We can still take all his personal details out here. Once we've taken the personal details, we have to enroll that student into a particular class. We call that student academic. So for that student academic, we need to create that student academic separately from a different form. Most of the forms in the system actually follow the same pattern, and this has been done so that we can keep it easy. Once we've learned it, it is applicable everywhere. At the top left hand corner, we can see that the name of the module appears, which is the student in this case. Out here is the add new record. So to create a new student, we'd click here, and I'll show you. I'll show this to you in a couple of minutes. At the bottom, we can see that there are a number of pages, and we can traverse the number of pages from here. Or we can directly go to a particular page. So we can directly go to, let's say, 15th page, and we can directly jump. This shows you the number of records which are shown in one page. So we can increase or decrease this, but we keep it at 20 generally speaking. This hand, the bottom right corner out here shows you the number of records. So this shows that there are 837 students at the moment, out of which we are looking at the students ranging from 281 to 300. Now to create a new student, all we have to do is click here and a form appears. We can click exactly, we can choose which program do they belong to, as well as what's the application number, what's the application date, the salutation of the student itself, the name of the student. So we can just name the student out here, the middle name, last name, gender. We can even upload a photograph out here, the birth date, mobile phone number, landline number, and all the other demographic details. As you can see, these demographic details can be edited by us. So as a part of customization, we can always add or remove a particular demographic if needed. Once we've actually filled out these details, we can just save, and a new student is created. So wherever in the entire system the student drop down appears, this student would start appearing. To edit a particular record, we can directly click on edit, and we can see that a student's photograph is now appearing out here, and we can directly just edit the details out here and save it here, and that's it. As you can see that in the form, there were many demographics which are not being shown in the list. These demographics can directly be checked from here. So let's say we want to look at the blood group as well as the ethnicity and religion of the students, and we are not interested at the moment of these two records for that matter. Obviously we can change these, and the actual form would change. Anywhere in the application you can export the records to an Excel sheet for further references. To search for a particular record, so let's say we want to search for a student named Himani. What we can do is we can search a record from here and search, and that record would start appearing, and we can directly edit the student record from here. To delete a particular student, we can delete it directly from here. I would not want to delete it at the moment, but otherwise it can be deleted from here. This student all form is a similar form as personal details, but this actually shows you all the other details of the student as well. So the student's addresses, as well as the qualification details of the student, the parents' details of the students, so the mother and the father, as well as the other, let's say, academic program details, program document details of the student. So let's say I want to add a relationship out here, and I want to enter a brother of this student. What we have to do is just add a record out here. Let's say call it brother. Switch off the notification. This notification can be used for email alerts. So if a relationship is by default on a notification, that notification person would be notified if a fee is being deposited or it's getting too late. We can fill in the other details. So I'd call it Aditya KD. I'll just put in my name, and I'd put in a date of birth, any random date of birth, and I'd just put in my mobile number as well as my email address and other details, obviously, and save that. Once again, the brother, which has been just created, starts appearing here. Once again, to delete this record, all we have to do is delete it from here, and it gets deleted. Let's move on. Out here, we can get into the employee and employee details. Very similar to the students, out here we can record all the details of an employee. These are the demographics that we've currently captured. Once again, we can add or remove demographics if needed. So these are the demographics which we are actually taking for the employee. Similar to the student all form, there is an employee all form where using which we can enter all the other details of an employee. So out here we can record this, the service records of the employee, the relationships of an employee, addresses, qualifications, as well as other documentation details. Moving on, let's go to the attendance form. In the attendance form, the first thing we need to do is create events on a calendar. So let's say we want to create events from April 2014 all the way to April 2015. We can directly create it from here. So we'd see that the entire year starts appearing, and we can directly just create the entire, all the records out here. In a specific date, the details that we've captured are select. So select is basically that on that day something is happening. The date itself, the day on which it is there, the event's name, all the other details, starting and ending timing. If none of it is kept, obviously it's considered as an entire day event. Holiday for students. Therefore, what this means is whether this day, particular day, is a holiday for the students. Notification to parents, whether notification has to be sent to the parents for this particular event in advance. Notification to employees. Is this a holiday for everybody, and is it a weekly off? Once we've configured the calendar, we can see that under the calendar report, once again I'd go to April 2014 and I'd see it till April 2015. For the entire year, we can see a calendar report. This is very handy because generally speaking, we'd want to see at a glance what's happening in the next couple of days or couple of weeks. And this is a central form where everybody can look at it from. Moving on, under attendance, we can do student day-wise attendance. At present, we capture only one attendance per day But once again, it can be configured so that we can capture attendance multiple times in a day. So let's say we move on to a day in advance, because out here for demonstration purposes we already have some attendance kept for these days. So I'm moving on to July, where we should be able to see some attendance days which are not done. So I'm picking up a range of 1st of July to 10th of July, and under the program what we can do is we can filter out and we can say we want to look at 5th A's attendance, and we'd refresh that. Here we can see that all the students on the 1st of April, on the 1st of July in 5th A class were present. Similarly, on 4th of July there was a holiday, and on the 5th of July there was a holiday again. To edit an attendance of a particular record, so once we click on a record we can see exactly which student are we talking about, as well as which day are we talking about, and we can obviously change a particular student's attendance record and save it. Generally what happens is, let's say today was the 7th of July, a teacher would come in and actually mark everybody as present. So by default everybody becomes present on that particular day. Once marked present for the 7th of July, we can then go ahead and put specific details out here for specific students and then save that. What that means is obviously we don't have to go into each and every record to actually enter attendance for a student. This makes it exceedingly easy, and it's a matter of a couple of minutes for each teacher to actually put in their attendance for that class. The actual attendance form, as you can see, is not color coded, but we are working on it, and soon it will be very, very color coded, and you'll be able to see at a glance without reading what kind of attendance is happening out here. In the attendance of teachers, it's a bit different from the students, is because in teachers, first of all, it's color coded, so you'll be able to see all the records in a color coded fashion. But secondly, what's different is in teachers there is an attendance twice a day. So for every day there are 2 attendances which are kept, which is the first half and the second half, and this is particularly very useful in case of payments of salaries. So to mark attendance, what I'll do is I'll choose a range. So let's just stick with this range of April 4th to 30th of April 2014, and I'll choose a department. So let's say I want to mark attendance for the administration department, and I'd refresh this. What you'd see is all the employees which are under the administrative department, and you'd see them to be color coded. Similarly, if I change the department and I go to academics, obviously there are many more teachers in the academic department, and we'd be able to see all the attendance for different employees. To mark attendance, once again, we can directly go in and we can mark them as CL, that's casual leave, and H as holiday, and as you can see that they are color coded. Medical leave, and they're all color coded. These codes which are there, which is the CL, PL, and all these holiday codes and attendance codes, these can be actually custom built. So there is a master form. There is no customization needed. All we need to do is go into the master form and enter the particular attendance type, and they'll start appearing here. Once marked, similarly, we can just press and save, and it's saved. Let's move on. In the examination, first of all, we need to create examination structure. So each class has a different examination structure. What I'm about to show you is a CCE pattern. So in a CCE pattern, what happens is for every class, every section, and for every subject, there are 6 exams which are there in a session. So let's say if you're talking about English, these exams are actually broken first down into term 1 and term 2, or you can call it semester 1 and semester 2. Each semester has a weightage of 50 Out here somebody has actually put it as 60, but that can be changed right from here. I just do that. But generally each semester is of a weightage of 50. Now under the semester, each term, I'll just pick a different example because somebody's tampered with this. But let's say in Hindi, we'd see that in term 1 there are FA1, FA2 and SA1. FA1 and FA2 are internal exams which happens, and there is a total weightage of 10 for each of these internal exams, or class tests you can call them. And then there is an SA1, which is a written exam, which is a more formal exam, which happens at the end of term 1, which has a weightage of 30. Similarly, in term 2, there is an FA3 and FA4, which is the third class test and the fourth class test, again with a weightage of 10 and 10. And then SA2 is the written or the more formal exam, still internal, but a formal exam which happens at the end of the semester of term 2. All these weightages then add up to 100. So including term 1 and term 2 would then add up to 100. All these exams would have a similar pattern under CCE. To create this examination structure, obviously it follows a very flexible process. So somebody's actually created an external exam out here. You can have different class tests or different assignments which can be kept out here with a weightage which is a less weightage or a zero weightage as well, and you can still mark different people for class examinations and class tests. Having said that, generally CC does not recognize that, but to create this examination structure, you can either create it manually from here, so you can directly append nodes and you can clone the nodes just as if you could do it in program structure. But if you just want to follow the CCE pattern given by the CBSE Board of India, what we can do is when we are creating the program structure out here for a particular class and a section, all we need to do is map the courses for this class and section, click on that section and then create exams. This will create examination structure for all the courses which are there for this section in this class according to CCE. If you are following a different examination structure, that can be built in as well. So once you click on create exams, it will create the examination pattern based on your structure. But otherwise, if you're going into a CCE board, this is what is followed. Once an examination structure is configured and all the courses are obviously mapped and the students are mapped to the different sections, we can go ahead and conduct exams. Once the exams have been conducted, we can enter the marks out here. So we can directly go into, let's say, class 10th A, and under 10th A we can go to, let's say, English, and under English we can go to FA1, refresh, and once we refresh we can enter the marks directly out here. If a person is absent, you can actually check it out here of being absent, as well as if there was a medical leave for the reason of being absent, you can just check it here, and a medical leave, which is a manual leave, can be registered with the school. Once we've actually marked a person, we can directly put it as save. Now, if whenever you're putting a marks, it will not allow you to actually put a marks which is a negative. The moment you do that, it will just default it to 0. Or if you put a marks which is above the maximum marks, so the maximum marks for English has been set to 100, which is showing out here. If you do that, it will actually make it 100 because you cannot exceed the maximum marks. Similarly, what we saw was in class 5th A, we saw that there was a course in English, there was an exam which was external. Now this is a custom exam, not following the CCE pattern. So it might be a class test, which is an informal test, or any small exam which the teacher chooses to take. They can create that exam and mark the people out here, and the weightage can be kept as 0, so that would not hinder the CCE pattern as well. Once all the exams are entered, all the examination results are entered, we can actually view them under examination dashboards and examination reports. Let's move on. This is a place where you can manage all your fees. I've hidden most of the things away because this is very much related to accounts. So it's a full module, but I'll just still show you. Once we choose the program, we can choose the fee structures, so you can have multiple fee structures. So what we are doing is we want to see under this program all the students which are following this fee structure, and we can just refresh this. We'll be able to see exactly which students are there. We can select, let's say, all the students, and if we want that there is an ad hoc thing, we can directly change it from here. So let's say the fees have been increased to 550 rupees. We can change it out here and save it. The moment you save it, for these students, all these fees, even the post-dated and the pre-dated fees, all the fees which you see on the screen would become as a due for that student. Once a due has been created for that student, obviously it's a voucher which is kept in the accounting system. Once that thing is there, you can obviously take the fees from the student based on that. That happens from the fee receipt system. Out here, you can see that this is the fee receipt. You can choose the student, or you can directly look for a student under roll number. Once you've chosen a student out here, all the details of the student starts appearing here, as well all the outstanding amounts start showing here. You can then click on the ledger, so you can click on a bank or a cash ledger, and you can put in the amount that the person is depositing. Let's say a person is depositing 2,500 rupees. You can just do that and just save it, basically submit it. Once saved, you can print the summary reports as well as print the invoice. The moment you save a fee receipt, an SMS or an email is automatically sent to the notification relationship of the student. Once again, if a student is late, or if there is any other ad hoc fee head which needs to be taken care of, let's say there is a late fee which is being levied, and the late fee is, let's say, 200 rupees, you can directly put it out here and save it. What that would mean is 2,500 rupees has been taken against a balance of 5,000, and another 200 rupees for the late fees has been levied on the student. There are many more modules which I have not covered. Modules like access rights for dashboards, assignment of menu items to roles. So who or which role sees what menu items. So out here we are seeing these menu items. So obviously these menu items, that means has been assigned to my role. Having said that, this can be changed directly from the application itself. Student medical details, disciplinary details. In case of HR and payroll, how a salary structure is created and how a salary is put to due and payments are made for salaries. What I've also not covered in this video is how a student leave is managed and a leave application is managed. Similarly, employee leave application and approval systems. In examination, what I've not discussed are personality grades. Fee, I've briefly touched upon. I've omitted things like accounts receivable, accounts payable, accounting transactions, other accounting reports and financial reports, accounts approval management systems, transportation module, and hostel module. One last thing which I'd like to discuss is the library system. Once again, it's a very detailed system, but from here we can directly issue or receive a particular book and manage the entire library from this form. This actually shows you all the library transactions which have happened. As you can see that there are 23,500 transactions which have happened for the school. You can issue a new book directly from here, or you can return a book directly from here. So to issue a book, you can either directly select the student, or if you know the library, the student membership number, you can directly add it out here. So let's say if I want to do 201 and the student changes, so you can directly search a student directly from here. Similarly, an employee, so we can directly click an employee, or we can directly put a number out here for an employee and you can select an employee. By looking at this, we can see that a library number this is being issued a book which is of this employee. So it's not being issued to a student, it's been issued to an employee. We can then just scan in the barcode directly from here, or we can actually select a book from here if you remember the accession number. If we know the barcode of the book, we can directly just select it from a barcode reader. All the book details appears, as well as the issue date, which is today, appears, as well as number of days appears. So we can directly change the number of days, and a due date is automatically updated, and we can issue a book. Similarly, to return a book, we can directly return a book from here. While returning a book, we don't have to look at whom the book was issued to. We can directly put the barcode out here. So let's say we want to choose a book out here. It will say that the book has not been issued. But let's say a book was issued out here. It will show you all the details of that book. As well as you can levy a fine out here, as well as damage charges, and return the book. This brings us to the end of the video. I hope I've covered everything, but I must have left a lot more. Thank you.